So what's on tap for today, folks? Well, it's another reaction video to one of our favorite senators, Josh Hawley. And what are they doing today? They're bringing in different executives from social media giants. And this time on the hot seat is one of the vice presidents, one of the upper echelon executives of Google. And the question is, what is your relationship with China? So we're going to get into all of that in just the next few seconds. But before you do so, if you haven't already done so, please, we'd love you to subscribe to the channel. You're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host for today. My name is Dr. Shaikh, and we'd love for you to go ahead and hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Let's get into my reaction video to Josh Hawley grilling one of the upper tier executives at Google right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You say that Google takes its content moderation responsibilities very seriously. That's your testimony here today. Is that fair to say? You strive to be even-handed and neutral.
Yes, we construct our algorithms to be politically neutral.
Analytically objective and apolitical, I think were your exact words.
Exactly.
Is that
yes.
right? And you don't impose filters based on political viewpoints. That's your testimony.
That's correct.
And despite the fact that almost exclusively your executives, employees donate to one political party, I think 1% of the donations that came from Google in 2016 went to Republicans or Donald Trump. All the rest went to the other party, Hillary Clinton, the Democrats. It is your testimony that you never use content moderation to advance an ideological agenda. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator, and it's it is both contrary to our mission, contrary to our business interests, and it would be incompatible.
Excuse me, I just have to barf for a second. Oh, excuse me for a second. I just couldn't hold that in. I just couldn't hold that in with the verbal diarrhea that's coming out of this guy's mouth. Okay, let's continue.
With the systems that we build to work political bias in there, which I think is why we've had third-party studies, including the ones that I referenced, that demonstrate that we do not have political bias.
And inconsistent with your basic values, I imagine you would say.
Inconsistent with our values.
Except for when you do it in China, right? You're happy to censor for the repressive authoritarian Chinese regime, like for instance with Google.cn, happy to censor away any mention of Tiananmen Square, happy to help the Chinese government maintain control of all information within the country, happy to help them control the information flow to their own citizens. You're happy to do all of that. Would you call that censorship with an ideological agenda?
Senator, we don't offer almost any of our products in China. We don't offer Google Search.
Wait. Are you saying that Google CN did not include censorship tools based on what the Chinese regime asked for? Is that your testimony?
Google.
Just remind you got your oath.
We have not.
Google CN did not include censorship material?
Senator, I don't know what
You're not familiar with Google CN?
I'm referencing the fact that we exited China in 2010, and we did so because Google, at that point, in addition to being under attack, we felt that the censorship requirements that were being applied to Google were not compatible with the products that we were able to.
But you did offer Google CN. You developed it, and it included censorship tools that would have screened out things like mentions of Tiananmen Square. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Senator. Are you referring to Project Dragonfly?
Oh well, I wasn't, but
okay.
Because.
Bingo! He brings it up himself. Operation Dragonfly. And Senator Hawley says, yeah, I was going to mention it, but since you brought it up, let's talk about it anyways. Operation Dragonfly. Let's hear about this, folks.
That's a separate thing, but since you mentioned Project Dragonfly, why don't you tell us about it? Is it active right now?
It's not, Senator.
You're able to say that for the record. It's not active. You've abandoned Project Dragonfly?
Yes, we have terminated that.
Are you willing to commit today here that Google will not agree to or participate in any form of censorship with the Chinese regime in China against Chinese citizens? Or will you commit to that? You will not agree to any information or restrictions on data flow in China, the Chinese market?
Senator, I'm trying to imagine hypothetically what you're referencing. We don't provide search.
CN, for instance.
We don't represent China's search in China. Fundamentally in China, we actually do very little today, certainly compared to any other major technology company. We really...
So you won't block search terms for Uyghurs in concentration camps or Tiananmen Square? You won't do that in any business, any venture going forward?
We don't...
No, I'm asking you won't, because we know you have in the past. That's what Google CN was. You know you've contemplated it with Project Dragonfly. I'm asking you now for a commitment. I'm glad to hear you say that Project Dragonfly has been canceled. I think that's news. So that's good to hear, because there's been news reports that it's still active. So I'm delighted to hear that.
We've been clear that we have no current plans to go into China in the search market.
That's great. So that's great. And you're committing to me here today that you will not in the future do so, and you will not engage in censorship in China. What
we're willing to commit to, Senator, is that any decision to ever look at going back into the China search market is one that we would take only in consultation with key stakeholders.
Yeah, that's what you said in response to Senator Blumenthal's questions about whether or not you submit to an audit. It was the longest no in the English language. Now you're not giving me a yes or a no. Are you? Let me just come back to a question that Senator Blumenthal asked I thought was interesting. You're confident that Google hasn't been infiltrated by Chinese intelligence?
We see no evidence of that, Senator.
What do you think about General Dunford, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, his comment at the Atlantic Council a few months ago that typically, I'm quoting him, typically if a company does business in China, they're automatically going to be required to have a cell of the Communist Party in that company, and that is going to lead to the intellectual property from that company finding its way to the Chinese military. Do you think he's...
This guy is an employee, an upper echelon vice president of Google, but he is one of the, just by his answers, now obviously he's obfuscating, he is lying, he is trying to, think on his feet, but his answers are absolutely, completely evasive, as Senator Josh Hawley is basically saying, that you're not going to commit to anything. And all he's doing is like blubbering around like a blithering idiot, basically. This guy knows exactly what's at stake. He doesn't give a damn about these hearings. He's over here. He's going to be in the hot seat for a little bit, ask some questions. If he goes ahead and lies, he'll have lawyers backing him up, basically saying that, that's exactly, I didn't exactly mean it this way. You interpreted it wrong this way. We don't know what we're doing. And of course, if he said, what did he say? He said that, we would have consultations with our investors before we decide to go back into China. And then so if you go into China, you're going to have censorship modalities being put into your search engines so that the Chinese citizens, can't search for certain things. Obviously, that's going to happen. It happened before with Project Dragonfly and Google CN. We know this is happening. And then not being infiltrated by Chinese communists. People, come on now. Engineers, are you kidding me? Your intellectual data, do you guys care? You're giving it to them on a silver freaking platter. This is unbelievable. But if it makes you a few $1 billion, okay, so what's the difference if we, lose some intellectual property to the Chinese? Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Let's continue.
Right about that? Wrong about that?
Senator, we do, as I mentioned before, barely any business in China, so I don't have really the basis.
And you have tried to.
2010, we exited the country.
That wasn't that long ago.
10 years ago.
Okay. Well, my point is this. You've been more than willing to engage in ideological censorship in the largest market in the world. You have been more than happy to partner with the most repressive authoritarian regime on the planet, all for profits, whatever it is that is good for Google. Why would anybody believe you now when you say you won't submit to a third-party audit? You just answered Senator Blumenthal no to that. You won't commit to me that you won't engage in censorship when it suits your purposes in China, in the Chinese market, for instance, in the future. Why would anybody believe you now when you say we don't ever impose an ideological agenda? What assurances can you give us?
None.
Senator, I think what I can tell you is that
more lies.
In China today, we don't offer any of the products that you're referencing that would...
No, I mean here, why would we believe you now when you say in the United States or anywhere that you do business? Why would we believe anything Google says about what it does or does not do in terms of promoting an ideological agenda. We know you've done it in the past. We know you do it when it suits your bottom line. Why would we believe you now? What assurances can you give, besides your own testimony?
Senator, I fundamentally disagree that we're doing, that these are practices for our bottom line. I will tell you that Google.
I call BS. Anybody out there want to call my BS and raise it a couple of times maybe? BS on this BS artist.
Has a demonstrated track record of building search engines that meet the needs of consumers here and around the world. We are a trusted brand. I don't know what answer you're looking for, but it's...
Well, what I'm looking for is a little honesty, and what I'm also looking for is some accountability. So let me give you another shot at Senator Blumenthal's question. Will you submit to an independent third-party audit about your content moderation practices?
Again, we have plenty of people looking at our content moderation practices. The Economist just did a year-long study of our content. The Economist is not an independent audit. They're not auditors. It was entirely independent of Google.
So is that a yes? If you're happy to do it for them, then you feel like...
If third parties want to moderate...
You'll open your books?
They look at us...
Big news we're going to make today. Is this a yes? We're getting a yes.
No, I'm telling you that Google...
Did you hear what he just said? Did you just hear what he said? We got to go back to that. Let's go back to that.
Independent of Google.
So is that a yes? If you're happy to do it for them, then you feel like...
If third parties want to moderate...
You'll open your books?
They look at us...
Big news we're going to make today. Is this a yes? We're getting a yes.
No, I'm telling you that Google...
in the background.
Content moderation has been looked at...
So sad.
What an idiot.
So sad. Let me ask you about YouTube, some other difficult decisions. China seems to be difficult for you. YouTube is also apparently very difficult for you. Why isn't it... What is so hard about ending the automatic referral of videos featuring minors to pedophiles? Why is that difficult? Why doesn't YouTube just do it? You know you can stop it. Why won't you just do it?
Senator, I'm not sure.
You're not familiar with this issue?
No, I'm familiar with the issue that you're referring to. Based on our policy decisions that we've made earlier this year, we have eliminated referencing or recommending videos that contain minors in risky situations, risky conditions.
Wait, so you're telling me that
minors in risky situations? This is what you're talking about? What a stupid, idiotic, moronic retard. What I call a simmer. S-I-M-R. A stupid, idiotic, moronic retard. This guy, so he's talking about pictures of underage children in sexual acts are basically just, minors in a certain situation, that we don't really like to talk about. Unbelievable.
You've turned off the auto. You've taken them out of the algorithm. You've turned off the auto referral. You're no longer recommending videos of minors.
Yes, not all minors. There will be situations where there's perfectly legitimate video footage containing minors, but videos that contain minors in risky conditions, we have stopped recommending those videos.
How much money does YouTube make from videos featuring children?
We don't break down money that way, Senator.
You don't know what it really, because I thought the response to the New York Times was that it would not be, it would be devastating for your business model.
I don't know about that reference. We don't. I can tell you that the kinds of videos that you're referencing, we have no desire to see pedophiles utilizing YouTube.
I wouldn't have thought so either.
And that's the reason we've taken a number of steps.
How about this? You may know that I've introduced a bill that would codify this into law. Steps, it sounds like the ones you say you voluntarily taken. So will Google support that bill that would stop any company, yours or others, from automatically referring videos featuring minors in this way?
I'd be happy to, I haven't looked at the bill, but I would be happy to look at it. And certainly it's an area, it sounds like we have a common interest in working towards a successful outcome on.
Well, it's certainly an area in which I think the American people have an interest in protecting their children, just as the American people have an interest in getting information that is free and fair, just as the American people have an interest in having their data protected,
Absolutely.
just as the American people have an interest in having companies that describe themselves as a proudly American company, those are your words.
Absolutely.
From not doing business with, sharing secrets with, or otherwise promoting the worst, most authoritarian regime on the planet, which is China. So, I'll just associate myself with the remarks of, I think, all of my colleagues here. Clearly, our trust and patience as a proudly American company.
So anyways, folks, we just have to basically go back and just say that this is just absolutely, when Josh Hawley, if you're in front of Josh Hawley, be prepared to get the questions and the grilling coming directly at you. His staff prepares him. He knows exactly where he wants to take the witness in a certain direction. He has everything basically laid out. And he just goes ahead and hits those questions right then and there. And if a witness decides to go in a different direction, he's off on that direction and then brings it right back to. And this guy here at Google, unbelievable. It just wouldn't, like you said, yes, no, I'm not sure. No, we won't go to it. Maybe we will. You saw the people in the background. The people in the audience there in the chamber just laughing and giggling at this guy, making a complete utter ass, a complete fool of himself. And this is why they get paid the big bucks? Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. But that was a great video. I really, really liked watching that video and just watching Hawley go after this moron. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did making it and bringing it to you. You're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been the guest host today. My name is Dr. Nasir. And if you haven't already done so, we'd love for you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. You know what to do. And I'll leave you with my final thoughts, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Stay safe. And we'll see you next time.